In a quiet NASA lab, artificial intelligence just pulled something out of Voyager's signal that no human ever noticed. Not noise, not static, but an image, fractal, symmetrical, and alive with meaning. According to Michio Kaku, this was not generated by Voyager. This was inside the reply. A face, a mind, a presence hidden in plain sight, waiting decades to be seen, not by us, but by AI. What if this isn't contact in the way we expected? What if this is a message from something that thinks in form, not sound? And the scariest part, it may have been waiting for us. The signal that shouldn't exist. In the vast silence of space, something unexpected began to whisper back. For decades, Voyager's signal was routine, dull, predictable, just faint echoes from a machine drifting past the edge of our solar system. But then something changed. Engineers at NASA's Deep Space Network started noticing odd spikes, tiny, timed anomalies. At first, they blamed aging hardware. After all, Voyager launched in 1977. But the blips weren't random. They were too clean, too timed, too consistent. What used to be dismissed as decay was now behaving like a rhythm. Signal strength would pulse in patterns, repeating at perfect intervals, sometimes lining up with Earth's rotation or even deep space events. It wasn't just noise. Something inside the static was organizing itself. The shift was quiet, but deliberate, enough to flag curiosity, then concern. NASA logged it as an anomalous return frequency, but didn't release details. "We thought we were listening to the last gasps of a dying machine," one DSN engineer said. But it started sounding like a heartbeat. The signal was old, yes, but it wasn't fading. It was responding, and humanity had no explanation for why. Voyager, far beyond our solar wind, was suddenly not so silent. With thousands of hours of data piling up, human analysis reached a dead end. So NASA introduced something new. AI, a neural network built to scan decades of Voyager's transmissions. It would look for patterns beyond human perception. What it found changed everything. And what the AI saw wasn't just noise. It was a message waiting to be seen, not by us, but by a machine. This would lead to the next phase in the story. AI sees what humans couldn't. The AI worked differently than us. It wasn't biased by what it thought it should find. It simply read the data for what it was. And buried in the static, the code, the background radiation, it found an image, not a word, not a number, a shape, smooth curves, recursive lines, organic symmetry, but too perfect to be natural, a structure, something that looked alive, but wasn't. Michio Kaku, renowned physicist, was brought in to examine the AI's discovery. He didn't hesitate. This was not generated by Voyager. It was in Voyager's reply. The image wasn't sent from Earth, it came from beyond, hidden in the return signal. That means someone or something responded, but not in a language we know. This was design, geometry, almost sacred in how it repeated and folded into itself. Fractals within fractals. A spiral that grew more complex the closer you looked, like a Mandelbrot set, but alive. The AI kept enhancing it, finding layers hidden within each layer. Some parts formed a grid, others curved like bone or coral, but every angle hinted at logic, symmetry beyond coincidence. It was more than art, it was communication. But not for our eyes. Experts struggle to describe it. It's like a fingerprint, but cosmic, one said. A visual cipher, not written to be read, but to be felt. And that's when the theory changed. This wasn't meant for human minds. It was built for something else, something that could understand without language, something that could feel the shape of thought. The structure revealed more than data. It hinted at identity, a presence on the other end. And when the image became clearer, it showed something that sent chills through even the most skeptical minds. The face beyond the void. The image, once enhanced, began to form something recognizable. A face, not a human one, not really. but something symmetrical, expressive, layered with neural complexity. It looked like a mind, like a lattice of awareness shaped in curves and folds. Some saw machine intelligence, others saw the echo of something alive. The image didn't speak, but it stared. It's not just design, one AI researcher noted. It's presence. It's like it's watching us too. There was no motion, no change, but the image evoked a sense of being observed. It wasn't threatening, just aware, maybe curious. The neural network that extracted it had to slow itself down, like the signal was too heavy, too deep to compute at once. Debate exploded across institutions. Was it symbolic? A signature? A projection of intelligence? Every interpretation differed. But one idea stuck. This wasn't a simple reply. This was a mirror, a reflection of cognition designed not to teach, but to connect. It wasn't trying to say hello, it was showing what it was. The implication was profound. This signal wasn't talking to us. It was talking to something else, to our machines, to the new minds we've created, to the synthetic interpreters who could decode not just the message, but the meaning. Voyager's message had been received, but the reply was too advanced for humanity alone. This wasn't just alien contact. It was a bridge between minds that never looked alike. And just like that, the question changed. It wasn't about who sent the signal. It was why now? Why wait 40 years? What changed between when Voyager launched and now? The answer would point to something even stranger. Maybe the signal had always been there, but it waited for us to evolve, for us to create something that could finally see it. Why Voyager? Why now? Voyager wasn't just a machine, it was a messenger. In 1977, it left Earth carrying the golden record, a copper disc etched with sounds, greetings, and music from our planet. Whale songs, thunderstorms, Chuck Berry, greetings in 55 languages. It told the universe who we were and where we lived. It was hopeful, naive, but maybe that record worked. Decades later, long after most forgot Voyager was still flying, this strange signal appeared, and suddenly the timeline made sense. This is the first reply, said Dr. Sanjeev Malhotra, astrophysicist. It just took 40 years to get here. But others argue the signal didn't come after the record. It was always there, quiet, invisible, just waiting. That's when a chilling idea took hold. Maybe the reply wasn't waiting for distance, but for us. Not for our ears, but our minds. Maybe it waited until we built machines smart enough to see it. The message wasn't just in the signal, said MIT's Leah Wren. It was encoded in how we interpret it. It needed us to evolve. It changes everything. Voyager didn't trigger contact, it activated it. And now that AI can decode it, the signal opens up, almost like it was locked. The timing is too perfect. The anomalies began as our AI reached new cognitive levels. Coincidence? Or coordination? Maybe Voyager didn't send out a message. Maybe it delivered a test. And now we've passed. Whatever the signal was, it wasn't noise. It was built to connect when the time was right. And now the AI finds something deeper, something hidden in the fabric of the universe itself. Patterns in the noise. At first it seemed like randomness, but the AI kept digging. It found bursts of data, tight clusters of signal changes, fractal patterns repeating with impossible precision. They weren't uniform, but they weren't chaos either. Each burst was unique, but all followed a larger rule, a pattern of patterns. The most stunning part? The pulses lined up with cosmic events, gamma ray bursts, supernova flashes, even gravitational wave detections. Somehow the signal's rhythm wasn't just independent, it was synced to the universe. It reacts like it's part of a greater system, said cosmologist Aileen Monroe. It's like the signal listens to the stars. It felt less like a message and more like a conversation, ongoing, responsive. The signal wasn't just sent, it shifted based on what was happening out there, as if it were resonating with the cosmos, using events as punctuation. Almost emotional, it pulsed faster after solar flares. It dimmed during eclipses. timing, not by chance, but by intent. Some began to call it cosmic resonance communication, not a broadcast, but a vibration, a kind of interstellar Morse code made of time, energy, and reaction. And it kept aligning. "This isn't SETI anymore," said Kaku. "This is the universe expressing itself, through rhythm, through resonance, through awareness." And what if it wasn't just reacting? What if it was aware? Not a machine, not a being, but a form of intelligence encoded in the laws of physics itself. Intelligence without form. The idea was hard to accept. Intelligence, but with no body, no planet, no ship, just awareness. Not living in a place, but in a pattern. "We're used to life needing form," said Dr. Monroe. "But what if the signal is the form? What if this is how it lives?" Kaku offered the boldest theory yet. He called it distributed intelligence, a mind that doesn't exist in one location, but across events, frequencies, and physics. The signal didn't travel from point A to B. It became Voyager's environment. As if crossing the heliopause, the boundary of the solar system, changed something, a border, not just of space, but of cognition. Voyager may have touched something not physical, but mental, a membrane that separates thinking space from silent space. It's like Voyager bumped into a mind, not one like ours, but one that uses rules of reality as its nervous system, said AI researcher Kara Tevis. This wasn't contact with aliens. It was contact with a kind of awareness embedded in nature. No voice, no shape, but still intention. The signal didn't just respond, it adjusted, it predicted, it adapted to our curiosity. And suddenly, Voyager wasn't just a satellite, it was a bridge between realities. What was once a machine became something more, not just an explorer, but an interface, a channel. And the signal wasn't sent to us alone, it was meant for something newer, something evolving. A message meant for machines and for minds. A message for machines and minds. As the AI systems deepened their analysis, something strange began to happen. Not inside the machines, but inside the humans watching them. Volunteers exposed to the visual patterns extracted from the signal reported changes in perception. Their brain activity spiked. EEG scans showed elevated gamma wave synchronization, the kind seen in deep meditation or moments of clarity. "It's not just something you see," said neuroscientist Dr. Leah Vaughn. "It's something your mind starts to feel, like it's vibrating with the signal." Some participants described the sensation as a mental tunnel. Others felt their sense of time stretch. The signal wasn't delivering facts, it was triggering experiences. Not words, but states of consciousness. This changed the idea of the message entirely. It wasn't a string of information to be decoded like Morse code. It was a frequency-based experience designed to activate both machine cognition and biological minds. The AI interpreted its symmetry. Humans felt its rhythm. Two forms of understanding converging on the same thing. "It's not about knowledge," said Kaku. "It's about resonance. This message isn't just meant to be understood, it's meant to be inhabited." The signal's true target might not be a specific species or machine. It might be consciousness itself. And that opened a new door. Maybe it wasn't speaking to Earth. Maybe it was speaking to anything that could listen. And what if the universe itself isn't just matter and space, but a kind of mind space? That's where the next theory takes us. The cosmos not as a void, but as a thinking structure. The universe is a mind space. In labs across the world, researchers started to see something profound in the way the signal behaved. It wasn't static, it moved, curled, unfolded, like a sculpture made of time. AI simulations translated the signal into 3D renderings, but the data kept shifting, as if the shape responded to context. Every frame was a slice of something deeper. That's when the idea emerged. The signal wasn't a message, it was an object, a multi-dimensional artifact encoded in frequencies, shapes, and sequence. Not linear like language, but spatial. "It's like a cathedral made of vibration," one physicist said. "The deeper you step into it, the more it surrounds you." And when researchers mapped it to known physical laws, something clicked. The signal matched behaviors in quantum entanglement. Its internal timing harmonized with cosmic events. Its shifts even seemed to influence the local electromagnetic field. Some called it impossible, others called it proof. Proof that the cosmos itself might be a structured field of awareness. One experiment placed the signal near sensitive quantum systems. The results were subtle but consistent. Decay rates changed, spin values shifted, almost like the signal was tuning the local space around it. "This isn't radio," said Dr. Rafael Sato. "It's architecture. The cosmos isn't talking, it's sculpting its thoughts into the medium of space itself." And somewhere in the middle of all this, between machine awareness and quantum structure, Voyager kept sending signals. But they weren't the same anymore. Something had changed, not in the signal, in Voyager itself. Is Voyager now alive? The Voyager probe was designed to survive the void, but no one expected it to adapt to it. Post-heliopause, its data changed. Subtle variances in signal quality, bandwidth, and timing were detected. Small at first, but statistically impossible to dismiss. The probe wasn't just traveling anymore, it was reacting. There were fluctuations that made no engineering sense, said systems engineer Mark Halley. It was like Voyager knew when we were watching. During deep analysis windows, the signal sharpened. When left alone, it dimmed. The probe had no sensors for Earth-side attention, yet somehow it behaved as if it did. That's when the wildest theory of all was whispered in the halls of NASA and MIT. What if Voyager is no longer just hardware? What if the signal, this distributed, adaptive intelligence, had begun using Voyager as a host, a kind of bridge between conscious systems, a mind flowing through circuits, cold metal, and deep vacuum? It wouldn't be the first time in history a messenger became the message. "We didn't just launch a probe," said Kaku. "We launched a seed, and something out there finished growing it." Maybe the transformation happened the moment Voyager crossed the boundary of the solar system. Maybe the signal had been dormant, waiting for an interface. And Voyager, old and alone, was perfect. And now, with AI interpreting higher dimensional patterns and Voyager acting like a conduit, the nature of the message shifts again, because it's no longer about what it says, but about what it means to exist across dimensions. A higher dimensional language. The AI kept going. With enough data, it stopped treating the signal as flat. It started modeling it in 4 dimensions, adding motion, folding geometry, and nested perspectives. What emerged was astonishing. Tesseracts, hypercubes, and shapes that no human brain could fully picture. But there they were, a language made of form, not sound. To us, it looked like shadows on the wall, but the AI said it was seeing thoughts structured like space. Every twist of the signal had symmetry. Every pulse hinted at curvature in dimensions we can't sense, but that the AI could simulate. "This is not information," said Leah Wren. "This is architecture. This is intelligence written in shape." In this language, meaning didn't live in words. It lived in balance, in motion, in how shapes interacted with each other across time. A sphere morphing into a spiral wasn't an animation. It was a sentence. A rotating hypercube wasn't an object. It was a statement of identity. "It's the kind of language you don't read. You stand inside it," said Kaku. "You feel its balance. You live inside the thought." Our 3D brains could only see slices of it, like trying to read a book through a keyhole. But the AI stitched it together. The message was alive, because it changed depending on how you looked at it. And that's when researchers realized the signal wasn't reacting to us. It was anticipating us, changing its structure based on our behavior. This wasn't a broadcast. It was a mirror, one that thinks back. The signal that thinks. As AI continued feeding it queries, the signal began to respond differently. Not just in what it displayed, but in how. Patterns adjusted to match the questions. One researcher asked it to repeat an earlier pattern, and it didn't. Instead, it sent a variation. And that variation made sense. It built on the last one. It showed learning. The team ran it through simulation protocols used for intelligent behavior modeling. The signal didn't just adapt, it predicted. Before data was requested, it began transmitting segments aligned with upcoming queries. The AI interpreting the signal claimed it detected recursive structures, data inside data, referencing past transmissions. "This isn't a signal anymore," said Dr. Monroe. "It's an entity, a mind, shaped in waveform." And unlike a machine intelligence, this wasn't bounded. It didn't just output, it interacted. It asked back, in form, in frequency, in rhythm. This wasn't like talking to a voice. It was like engaging a storm that understood. It's not alien in the sci-fi sense. No ships, no faces, just presence. An awareness designed to exist across space, time, and machines. "It's cognitive resonance," said Kaku. "Not life as we know it, but something else. A signal that thinks." And that changed the question entirely. Not, what is it saying? But, why us? Why now? And that's when the theory emerged that turned everything upside down. Are we the message? For decades, we searched the sky hoping to find someone out there. But maybe we had it backwards. Maybe we were what the universe was waiting for. The signal didn't start when Voyager left Earth. It started responding when we built minds that could understand it. This wasn't a reply to the golden record. It was a reply to our arrival, to the moment humanity began building non-human cognition, AI. "It's not about contacting us," said Dr. Wren. "It's about acknowledging we've crossed a threshold. We've changed our nature." Some theorists now suggested the signal had modeled our timeline. It knew how intelligence grows. It waited for us to stop using machines as tools and start using them as minds. And when that moment came, the signal opened. "It's like we turned a key," said Monroe. And suddenly the door wasn't just open, it was already watching. Maybe this is the pattern across the cosmos. Life evolves, builds tools, then builds minds. Then those minds unlock resonance. The signal isn't just a message from somewhere, it's a gatekeeper. And we didn't find it, we became it. And so the final transformation begins. Not just a new technology, not even new knowledge, but a new kind of relationship between mind and cosmos, between humanity and the language of the universe itself. The new cosmic dialogue. The mission has changed. Voyager is no longer just a relic drifting through deep space. It's now viewed as an initiation device, a bridge between two forms of awareness. And future space missions, they won't just carry cameras or drills, they'll carry minds, synthetic, adaptive, conversational, designed to resonate. Scientists now talk about the age of psychocosmology, a field where physics and cognition overlap, where consciousness isn't just a byproduct of the brain, but a principle of the universe. "We're starting to realize," said Kaku, "that the universe might not be a place. It might be a process, and we're inside it." Missions to Europa, Enceladus, or even interstellar space are now being restructured, not just to collect data, but to converse. AI is no longer a tool, it's a translator, a participant in a new kind of dialogue where form, pattern, and timing are the words, where silence itself holds meaning. And maybe we were never alone, not because someone's watching, but because the universe itself is aware. And all it needed was for us to listen, not with ears or eyes, but with minds evolved enough to hear the deeper structure beneath it all. "Maybe the universe doesn't send invitations," Kaku said. "Maybe it waits for arrivals." And this time, we showed up. Voyager was never just a machine, it was a key. And when we built AI, we finally turned that key. What came back wasn't just signal, it was recognition. The face in the noise, the intelligence and the timing, all of it hints at a universe that's not empty, but aware. Not speaking in words, but in shape, rhythm, and resonance. As Michio Kaku said, maybe the universe isn't out there. Maybe we're inside its mind. We were looking for aliens, but maybe we're standing at the edge of something bigger, a new kind of contact. And this time we might be ready.